President Akufo-Addo spoke just 2 days ago, and he said quite a lot. Now, we're going to talk about the speech in particular, the address, the substantive address, and we're going to itemize those issues that are salient in our perspective. Of course, this is an opinionated output, and that means that you may have a contrary perspective. But divergence is very essential in a democratic dispensation such as ours. So whether or not you agree with what we characterize as our salient points, or you do not agree, fundamentally we are bound to have split opinions sometimes.
I charge you. Break the earth, break the earth, break the earth. I done this slogan. Me am Jina Hedi. So far as I live, me dey mean break it biao. To me no, me say me mfa ma wo mo ne, me mfa ma wo mo china.
So that was Lord Comey, the Director of Operations at the Presidency, indicating strongly that a new patriotic party would not hand over to any government come 2024.
Me am Jina Hedi. So far as I live, me dey mean break it biao. To me no, me say me mfa ma wo mo ne, me mfa ma wo mo china.
You heard him say all of that, and some of us were particularly displeased by his utterances. Now, substantively, President Akufo-Addo says that as a vanguard of democracy, as somebody who believes in human rights, is not going to supervise any mayhem whatsoever. And that, for me, I think, was a plus. But that is not the only plus that I identify in the President's 2024 SONA. I'm a writer. I like words. I like to put words together. And so whenever I see expressions that are well crafted and diligently constructed, sometimes I get excited. And really, I was excited when I did hear the president delivering his speech, because the manner in which the speech was prepared semantically, reflected a lot of excellence and blissfulness. And that has been very typical about Akufo-Addo's speeches anyway. Anytime you listen to President Akufo-Addo speak and you are very attentive to his constructions, you would want to ask, who are the people in the president's speech box? And I think I've asked that question a number of times before. Who are those who actually sits to write for him? I have heard that the veteran journalist, Elizabeth Ohene, senior colleague, is one of those who has been assisting with that task. I've also even heard that sometimes Akufo-Addo himself, folds his sleeves to put the words together. And indeed, that's what we've been seeing all this while. Excellent speeches. It's unfortunate, but excellent speeches and flowery communication alone do not build a nation. But those were my takeaways, or those were the fascinating aspects of the 2024 SONA for me. The fact that he did assure that we were going to have a free, fair, and credible elections. And then, of course, my personal admiration for the delivery. But apart from that, quite frankly, I did not see anything else that was compelling about the president's address, and I'm going to explain briefly. Now, President Akufo-Addo in 2016, prior to coming into office, campaigned on a number of tangents. We were all in this country when we had the presidency, for example, in 2016, that when he's voted into power, he's going to use the ANAS principle to clamp down on the excesses of corruption. Ask yourself as a citizen, what has become of corruption now? What has become of corruption? What has become of our fight against corruption? Of course, we were all excited and we were in a jubilant frenzy when we heard that the Office of the Special Prosecutor had been formed. And our excitement was even fundamentally anchored on the fact that the man who was going to be at the helm of affairs was a proven anti-corruption crusader. I'm talking about Martin Amidu. Everybody was excited. I do recall, everybody was happy. Martin Amidu is coming into that office. Amidu is going to do a great job. What happened afterwards? Martin Amidu, few months into office, suddenly said that, look, you know what, I've had enough, I'm handing over my papers, and the man exited. But it is not even his departure that was the item of concern. It was the comments he made while exiting. The fact that he indicated strongly that the presidency was knee-deep and complicit in the very act of corruption. Some people said, well, Amidu is exaggerating, Amidu is lying, don't mind, Amidu is bitter, Amidu is being... Amidu is bitter, Amidu is being propagandist, ignore Amidu, don't pay attention to whatever Amidu is saying and all of that. Fair enough. Then we moved into a couple of years later on, and then we saw Kisi Ajaben, the much celebrated Kisi Ajaben, a lawyer for that matter. Yes, Amidu was also a lawyer. They said, okay, Kisi Ajaben has come. Kisi is going to redefine the narrative where corruption is concerned. The man, as we speak, is now saying proverbially that he is like an Ankwanuma. I don't know how to put that in the English language, but he says that he's doing his best. When the time comes, he goes. If you are anybody who has been very passionate about the fight against corruption and you hear stuff of this nature, how are you bound to react under the circumstances? And that is why, for me, the fight against corruption has been rather abysmal in this particular regime, because the vehicle, the instrument that was created to fight it is even broken down. That office of the special prosecutor, it was so hallowed. It was amplified as a sacred and effective institution. What didn't we hear? We have an OSP. This is the very first time Ghana is about to... What is the current state of affairs now? And even with the OSP, when you examine the nature of his prosecutions, I don't think there is any, as it were, substantial results that he has been able to put to the table. And that is why it is difficult for some of us who are critical to applaud.